Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to a live Manchester United news show, where we're going to be breaking down Ruben Amorim's first training session of Man U as Man United manager. What have we learned? What has been suggested? What is the news saying? Who featured in training? Which academy stars were called up to training? What academy stars could be a surprise feature under Ruben Amorim? Reports coming out today that Ruben Amorim will probably not be given the biggest budget to spend, let's just say. And what does that mean? Because Ruben Amorim's been tasked with trying to get the best out of every Manchester United player, diving into the youth. What have we learned from this first training session of Amorim about his plans to dive into Carrington, dive into the youth? He might not get the most amount of money because United feel there's a good squad there and he could utilise players like Mason Mount, Højlund and turn them into key players. Maino returns. Did Lenny Yoro also return to training? Godwill Kukonki featured in training today. First time he featured in training. There is news about United looking at Kolo Muani and a couple of players in January. But Ruben Amorim has been basically told to get the best out of the current players and the academy. And while I think that Ruben Amorim needs to be backed and recruitment needs to be spot on, because I do think for Ruben Amorim's football, we need a lot more players that can play at a certain intensity. I do think, not spending crazy amount of money on loads of players can almost be better in a weird way. We need players, we need the right players, but I also think there's players at United that we're just not getting the best out of. But let's dive into the news. Let's dive into all the latest information. But as Alex says down below, guys, please hit the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Share the video. We're on that final stretch to 100,000 subscribers. I'm on 97,387 subscribers and 13 subscribers away from 97.4k. So if we can hit that by the end of the day, absolutely fantastic stuff. But let's dive into what we know about Amorim's first training session. Who was there? Who was present? What has it revealed? And more. Marcus Rashford and Casemiro have reported back to Manchester. The rest of the squad are due back in training on either Wednesday or Thursday. First training session done for Ruben Amorim. It was players that didn't go on international break, a lot of the youth players, Kobbie Mainoo, some of the players returning from injury and more. But one of the players that featured for the first time in first team training was 16-year-old left-footed centre-back Godwill Kukonki. He is an absolute monster, an absolute beast of a player standing at 6'5", and I'm going to go into more details about him in a second. But I think in terms of the centre-back profile, he could be the left-footed sort of not Upamecano, the left-footed sort of Kanate type player, but even taller. He's an absolute monster profile-wise as well. Alice, do you think we'll have money for January signings? Yes, I think they're saying United aren't going to spend crazy under Amorim, but because we're not. But I think we'll sign a fullback in January. I do. Maybe another attacker as well. The reality is we do not have the funds and spending power we used to have, which is true. The reason Man United can't spend heavily on Amorim isn't because the Ineos are being tight asses. It is massively because we don't finish in the Champions League, the budget goes down by 30%. And also there's a lot of players there that actually are probably better than what we're seeing. And Amorim's been tasked to get the best out of them and dive into the academy as well. And not having money in January could be a blessing in disguise. I want money to be spent because I think we lack players that are athletically able to play the way Amorim wants. So I think money needs to be spent to bring those kind of athletes in to allow us to play at the intensity we need. But I don't think we need to do that. It's Kukonki, is it? I've heard there's two youth commentators on the academy games, and they both pronounce it different, which is interesting. But we are long overdue an academy centre back to break in and be a regular. Yeah, I was thinking about Tuanzebe today because we had Tuanzebe and we had Mengi, and Tuanzebe obviously been playing for Ipswich, more right back lately, had a really good game. He pocketed Son. And then Ted and Mengi was fantastic in the Premier League last season at Luton. I'm surprised the Premier League club didn't sign him when Luton went down. I think if Tuanzebe and Mengi didn't have those injuries, particularly Tuanzebe, potentially they could have had a place at United if they didn't have the injuries. I think that gave them a lot of setbacks in their career. I think they were both good centre-backs, but we've not had one come through for a while. And I think Godwill is, for me, I know we've got a lot of talented academy centre-backs, but for me, I think in terms of his just physical profiling, being 6'5", this athletic beast, big strides, when I think of what Amorim wants in the modern game of football, I think Godwill has got an edge over everybody else as well. Very exciting player. I mean, Tuanzebe, I remember him pocketing Neymar and Mbappe. We'll be playing against him next, actually. He was a fantastic player, but I think, in a good loan spell at Villa, but I think injuries got to him as well. I think he had a loan at Napoli, and I think he had some injuries, and he went to Stoke, and then Ipswich he's been doing really, really well. But we are long overdue in academy as well. Bringing Kono, Obiamart, and other academy players. Can't remember his name starts with M. Academy player whose name starts with M. Mantato. I think that's who you're thinking of. I'm going to do a list of 5 academy players that I think can break through. And that will be Godwill, that will be Harry Amas, that will be Mantato, that will be Lacey. I don't know if Kone's cheating, if I call him an academy player, because he's not really, because we just signed him, but I would have probably said them out of the 5. But let's talk about this guy. Let's talk about everything going about as well. Is Evans the last academy centre-back who became a regular for us? I think so, because we signed Jones from Blackburn. Smalling we signed. I mean, it might be. I think Tuanzebe had some minutes. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing someone. I feel like Van Gaal played a couple of them, but they weren't very good. Probably, yeah. Scanlon's having a good season. He's played some first-team football with Gibraltar. He's getting his numbers up as well. There's a lot of interesting players in the academy, but let's speak about Godwill. So Godwill was called up for first-team training for the first time under Ruben Amorim today. He's a physically imposing left-footed centre-back, a strong presence off the ball who can defend large spaces while also possessing solid technical skills. He's only 16 but a monster for his age. I believe he is 6'5" according to some reports. Euro right-footed, Kukonki left-footed. In terms of natural attributes for their age, we have 2 of the best centre-back talents on our hands. And I believe that. In terms of the natural attributes for their age, I'm not saying that they are, but I'm talking of like the attributes in terms of the physicality, the technical ability, the ground coverage. I think we're absolutely blessed in that sense. I really do. I think we're really blessed at the back, and I think it's really exciting what we've got there. He's also played left back at times. He reminds me of elements, and he's not like Konate, obviously, but in terms of his ability to defend the wide channel, be fast, be strong, cover ground, be athletically gifted, he has elements of Konate, who's been fantastic at Liverpool this season, and I can see why Amorim would take a strong liking to him. I really can. Ibrahimov's definitely one to watch as well. He's fantastic. Fitzgerald, another fantastic player as well. Thwaites has been good as well. I mean, we've got so many talented players. I think, to be honest, this isn't a bad time for Ineos to say to Amorim, look, the funds are a bit tight at the moment. We need you to dip into the academy and get the best out of the current players, because I think in my lifetime, this is the best the academy's been. I wasn't around in 1992. In my lifetime, this is the best the academy's been. We had a class a couple of years ago, Ravel Morrison, Pogba, Lingard, but I think this academy class, they also won the Youth Cup. Maino and Garnacho did. I think this academy class could be just as special, if not better. We had the Rashford, McTominay, Tuanzebe, Dean Henderson class, some good players there. The Mengi, Angel Gomez, Greenwood class. We've had the Garnacho, Alanga was sort of a year older than the Garnacho Maino class. Alanga would have been in the other class. We've had a few good classes of academy players, but I think what we've got now, and not just Godwill and Shea Lacey and Harry Amas and Mantato and Fitzgerald and Thwaites and Ibrahimov and Lacey and Fletcher, even Bean Sheary, Wheatley, Williams, Ennis. So many talented players to pick from. Obviously, not all of them will make it, and not all of them will go on to have fantastic careers. But I think with where the academy's at, it is particularly exciting as well. Just need a bit of centre-back depth, considering there's 3 at the back. And I think one of the reasons Godwill was called up is not just because he's been good for the academy and because of all of that, but I think Amorim knows he needs another centre-back. He knows, we've got rid of Camboala, so we have to call upon an academy centre-back with no Willy Camboala. And I think he's probably thinking, well, Martinez and Godwill left centre-back. De Ligt and maybe Euro will be his long-term central centre-backs, with Euro covering the right side. Maguire will also probably be someone that plays on the right side. And then he might look and bring in a Diamonde. He might look and bring in someone else. But I think, he might look at Godwill and think, okay, we'll sign 1 centre-back in the summer, not 2. Maybe Maguire stays. I think if Maguire, Lindelof and Evans leave, we need to sign 2. Because I think we need 2 people to cover each position. So Godwill and Martinez can be left centre-back. Luke Shaw could also cover there, but I think he'll be gone in the summer. We probably have De Ligt and Euro as the central centre-backs, and then maybe we'd have to sign 2 right-foot centre-backs if that went well. But I think, another reason he's called up is I think we'll see Harry Amas, Mantato and Godwill, 3 players, because of the lack of names in the defence and fitness. 3 players that I think actually Amorim would give minutes to and could potentially feature. Big up Diego says 72 likes. Let's go for 100 likes. Yeah. 540 people watching right now. Let's go for 100 likes. Just 1 in 5 of you need to hit that like button to smash that target. And if you are watching right now and you are not subscribed to Alice Talks Football, and if you're new, I do 10-minute videos every morning, rounding up all the latest Manchester United news into a 10-minute video for you guys, getting straight to the point. And then I do live streams where I get through the news, but I also interact with the live chat, speak about things in more detail, talk to you guys, and that we are 13 subscribers away from 97.4k. So please do subscribe if you're new as well. Amorim will be better off training the academy players, his system, rather than teaching old dogs new tricks. Yes and no. I think some of our players will be able to adapt, not all, but I do think the academy players, because of the athleticism, the desire, the intensity, the work rate, and the technical ability of our academy players, I do think he could develop some of them into special players. He's proven at Sporting his ability to take academy players through, or even just young sort of players that have been recruited. He's done a very good job at that as well. I do look at Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo and Lenny Yoro are apparently the two players Amorim sees as key. I think Kobbie Mainoo could be a Mateus Nunes type player under Amorim, with Agate next to him. And I think Lenny Yoro, because of just who he is and his ceiling and everything about him, will be top as well. There's a real gap in producing top-class academy products for some years. City and Chelsea were producing more for a spell there. Yeah, 100%. We should have the best academy. We didn't for a moment. City and Chelsea were producing more, although we had more coming through at our club. City and Chelsea were producing more but selling them and not playing for them. Any updates on Mastantuono or Naipa and Alice? No, they haven't made a decision yet, but they are monitoring both players. I think Amorim will be in the door for a month before a decision was made. I haven't forgot Dan Gore. He's just had so many injury issues and he's a little bit older than the others as well. If we're relying on the academy, we really need to temper our expectations for short term. I agree to an extent. I think our academy is fantastic, but there's a massive jump from academy to first team football. But I do think there's a couple players in the academy that I think could make that jump to first team football, like Kobbie Mainoo did. The way that Kobbie Mainoo made that jump to first team football and didn't look a bit out of place and then was starting for England in the Euros final, I do think there's other players at Man United that can do that. Now, speaking of Kobbie Mainoo, we've got a little bit of news on him. He said Kobbie Mainoo is recovering from an injury and could return to the squad against Ipswich Town this weekend, and that Mainoo has taken part in Ruben Amorim's first training session today. Some reports suggest that Yoro could be ready in the next week, but not confirmed yet as well. So there's also some updates on Yoro potentially being back. I think he could be back in training. I'm not sure if he'll be available for the Ipswich game because he's not played this season, and he might have to slowly build up match fitness, but Yoro is set to return and Kobbie Mainoo is back. I don't know if Kobbie Mainoo will start against Ipswich. They might just say have him on the bench. It's a bit of a risk and start him midweek against Bodo/Glimt. I think we have midweek. I think we could more likely see Kobbie Mainoo starting midweek, but we will have to wait and see with that, just because of fitness. But then I also think with Agate potentially flying back late, who knows? Do you think we'll sell Rashford? I don't think we'll sell Rashford unless he's poor. I wouldn't sell Ahmad. I think Ahmad and Rashford, fit Amorim's system better than Anthony and Garnacho. But I like Garnacho, and I think Garnacho, because he's so young, can adapt. It'd be interesting to see if Garnacho plays in the front three and can adapt to a more narrow role, or does become a wing-back and improve his defensive game. I think Rashford is more suited to Amorim ball than Garnacho. I really do, if I'm going to be totally honest as well. Hi, Alice. I see Amorim playing a rotating player system. That way he avoids injury and keeps players rested. He does like to rotate a lot. That is something that he's been proven to do. So it'll be interesting to see if he does that. Amorim will be quickly under massive pressure. He will mix some kids in, but can't imagine a massive amount more so soon. 100%. We are 4 points off third. He's come in a good position, and if we lose a few games and we lose the fact that we're 4 points off third and a chance to save the season, he will come under some pressure, despite him inheriting maybe a squad that lacks the physical attributes to play a style of football, which will put him at a disadvantage. Do you think we'll loan or sell Xerxes? I think we'll wait till the summer to make a decision on Xerxes and see how he adapts under Amorim. I think because Amorim plays number 10s behind his striker, he could work quite well under Amorim, and I'd like to give Xerxes time because I don't think he's been utilised properly. Ten Hag brought him in, but then Ten Hag used him the same way he uses Sebastian Haller. Surely Ten Hag was told to bring him in because he's a different player to Højlund, yet he was trying to use him in the same way. You might as well have gone for Sesko then if you were not going to use Xerxes to his strengths. I did say Xerxes, Cunha and João Pedro are my three options for striker because they can play just behind Højlund and they could have played with Højlund. I said Xerxes best for money. Cunha would have been my first choice. He's having a fantastic season with Wolves. But Alice, why do you always twerk for Rashford? I don't twerk for Rashford. I just think that because I have a somewhat following and an audience, I don't want to pile on hate on Rashford when I think he gets more than enough. I think I did a tweet today and I did predictions under Amorim, and I said if I think Rashford could be our top scorer under Amorim, and all the comments was Trashford. people, not criticising Rashford, but just saying stupid stuff about Rashford and saying get rid and sell him, and, telling me I'm stupid for thinking Rashford will be our top scorer under Amorim. Rashford's the only player in the Man United squad that's ever got more than 20 goals in a season. The only player. And he's done that 3 times. He got more than 30 goals in a single season under Ten Hag. Amorim will play Rashford as a forward. He's going to be closer to goal. Ten Hag asked Rashford to be a touchline winger. That doesn't suit him. He's going to be a forward. So, look, if Rashford doesn't perform this season, it is his last chance and we'll have to sell him in the summer. But rather than being like 90% of the Man United fan base and turning on Rashford saying he's crap and thinking we should sell him in January, I know what Rashford can provide. And I'm saying Rashford's got from now to the end of the season to show why he's a good player, and I'm going to back him, and I'm going to back him to do that. I think Rashford's going to be good under Amorim. I think he's going to be our top scorer, and I will back him because the whole world is giving Rashford stick for going on holiday, but Casemiro went on holiday and they don't care. The whole world's just hating on Rashford, this and that. I make a post saying I think Rashford could be top scorer, and everyone's writing him off. Rashford needs confidence. So because I have an audience and people watch me, I don't want to be sitting here, bashing on Rashford that's already bashed enough. I think he's got the new Maguire treatment. I'm going to be like, well, this is a guy that scored 30 goals for us once. This is the only guy in our squad that scored more than 20 goals. And Amorim's style of play suits him more than Ten Hag. Rashford could be crap this season, and then we'll have to look at selling him 2 crap seasons in a row. But I'm going to back him to be good. And if he's not good, then yeah, I will say so be it. We might have to sell him. But I'm going to back him to be good, and we get behind him because he's our player. It's not a blindness backing of Rashford. It's just like, let's hope he gets back to his best. He's got to step up. He's got to step up, because if he doesn't step up, he'll have to go. But I believe he can step up. I'm not going to write him off. Rashford is the most talented player on the team, but I feel like he's wasting his potential. I think in terms of talent and goal scoring, we don't have a better player than Rashford. So he has to step up for sure. And if he doesn't, then you have to look at it. Wild hot take, but Bruno assists more than 20. Rasmus will score more than 25 in all competitions this season. You know what? I hope your wild take is correct, but we weren't scoring goals under Ten Hag. That was the biggest problem. Will Amorim be able to rapidly change that? I'm not sure, but hopefully you're right. I saw this here, so by Darnish. Ruben Amorim was, involved 16-year-old goal with Kukonki, and Darnish said this, I stupidly forgot about this being the method when Amorim wasn't going to get a big budget. Trust in the youth has served every United coach well, and it has. At the end of the day, I want Ruben Amorim to be backed. I want a budget to be spent on Ruben Amorim, but at the end of the day, trust in the youth. Our under-18s are probably the best. The win rate is ridiculous, not to mention the number of goals scored. So yeah, trust in the youth as well. But when he gets back in form for 6 months, again, it falls off a cliff. Well, hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully the environment's there at United to keep Rashford in form for a bit longer. Hopefully that's what we get as well. So let's continue on. Let's talk about Amorim's role. Let's talk about this budget that Amorim might be getting that could be cut, that could be reduced. This was said. Amorim's role more clear is what I've titled it for some reason. Ruben Amorim is set to operate on a more modest budget to Erik Ten Hag at Manchester United and will be tasked with maximising the untapped potential in the squad as the club aim to end the damaging and costly cycle of mass overhauls. United's hierarchy have no plans under Amorim to rip up the squad they feel is capable of delivering far more. Højlund and Mason Mount are cited as 2 examples of players that can thrive in a new environment. And normally I'd read this and think, disgrace, back the manager. Now I think we're going to have to back Ruben Amorim and make sure we do bring in players with athletic traits, because we do lack that in the squad. But I don't think ripping up the squad and having a mass overhaul and spending another 400 million is the solution. I don't think we can do that, but I don't think it is the solution. So I'm actually okay with the budget being more modest if we sign maybe four or five of the right players. We don't need a massive squad overhaul. I think Ahmad, Garnacho, Rashford, Højlund, Xerxes, I think there could be a player in all of them, maybe just another attacker for depth. I think Bruno Fernandes is a talented player. Maino is a Garth, he is. Casemiro's looked a lot better. I think we'll need to bring a midfielder in for sure. I think, De Ligt, Yoro, Martinez, they're all 25 and under, so that's the 26 and under, so that's the centre-back sorted for the future. Mazraoui and Delo are decent options at right-back, but we could get Coenda as a wing-back, and then they could turn into right centre-backs. I look at, we need another centre-back, we need a left wing-back, another midfielder for depth, because I think Eriksen's going to go and Casemiro might go, and then another attacker. I think there's 4 positions we could look at, but I actually think if we dive into the academy and all of a sudden Mason Mount becomes a key player at United and stays fit, Lenny Yoro comes through, stays fit as a key centre-back, Maino and Agati in the pivot, Rashford starts firing, I do think we have a better squad. I actually think we have a better squad than what we were seeing under Ten Hag. I think there's a lot more to come from Mason Mount if he can stay fit, and Højlund. We haven't even seen Euro yet. We haven't even seen Xerxes playing his main role yet. So I agree. And I saw this tweet that I wanted to share before I dive into a few more news stories. But this was a tweet I saw, and it was said by Devil's DNA. This could be a blessing in disguise. It was never about big money signings. I doubt we're in a position to pick peak starters from UCL clubs anyway. Focus on smart young pickups from clubs a tier below, develop existing talents and trust the academy sets, especially for backup slots. And I agree with this approach. I actually, weirdly, rather than being raging, I actually agree with the approach. We've done too many squad overhauls and big money signings. This is what Arsenal did under Arteta to get back on track. It is promote academy, but it's going for the lesser names and building a team. And I think, I look at those sort of lesser names. I look at Braithwaite, I look at Semenyo, I look at Belieber of other Premier League clubs lower down the table. And maybe they're the type of players that United could look to invest in rather than some of the more obvious names. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just my thoughts and feelings on the situation. Guys, if you have not already, please do go ahead and hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United news, football news, transfer news, updates, and more. Let's dive into some other bits and bobs, some bits of information. But I am only 11 subscribers away from 97.4k, so every sub does mean a lot to the channel. But we've got a bit more information on Amorim and what he's going to get budget-wise coming in here. So I read this one out here. What did Amorim do at Sporting? And I want to show you something in a second. While Amorim is expected to be operating on more of a modest transfer budget next summer, United want to implement a more sustainable structure where waste is limited, the churn of players greatly reduced and more talent released. United feel there are plenty of players in the squad who, with better coaching attention and support in the right system and setup, have a much higher ceiling than they may have shown previously at the club, and hope Amorim can unlock that potential. So that was said by James Ducker of The Telegraph, that Amorim's goal is to basically, he will get a transfer budget, but it might be a bit more modest, and it's more about implementing a more sustainable structure where actually we're going to see the best out of the players, because I feel like every player that we signed was quite a good player, but they've regressed under Ten Hag. If Højlund can get service, there's a good player there. If Mason Mount can stay fit, there's a good player there. Anana's gone up levels this season. Mazraoui looks like a fantastic player. De Ligt's been really good this season. There is good players at United. Euro, De Ligt, Martin, there's the three good players. Mazraoui is good. Who, sure, when fit is good, but him saying fit is a miracle. Agate, Maino are good. Bruno Fernandes is good. Marcus Rashford, when in form, is good. Højlund, when gets service, looks good. Amad is good. There is good players at United, and United have the right to say, there's a lot of players with maybe better coaching, better attention, a better environment, setup and system could show a lot more than what they showed under Ten Hag, and I do agree with that massively. I saw United Robbo tweet this, and I wanted to actually read this out here. At Braga, we saw an immediate impact because with the same squad, with the same players, he transformed them, is what they said. Same squad, same players. He came and he transformed them. He put in place his ideas. He changed the dynamic. He created empathy. And a lot of big clubs like Sporting Lisbon paid to have him. The first thing that the president said was that we believe that the money I'm paying for Ruben Amorim is going to prevail and is going to create value and develop the youth players and get results. And he was correct. Amorim's proven at Braga and Sporting he can come and improve the players, utilise the youth players, and doesn't need a lot of money spent. Sporting did not spend the same amount of money as Benfica and as Porto, but they were able to compete. And then Amorim would make the youth players good that they could sell them for money, and then they could invest a little bit more in later seasons. The identity of Sporting was always youth developed, is what Xavier added. In recent years before Ruben, they went more into investments and the club won nothing. With the signing of Ruben, they returned to this identity, and investing in the youth, bringing through players rather than spending big, did serve Amorim well at not just Sporting, but Braga as well. I think the key is not to sign flops. The recruitment have to be top-notch. If Amorim wants players of intensity, we'd be safe from going after stellar names. Yeah, I think we need to sign the right players for Amorim, but it's not all about the big-name players as well. How much will Ruben Amorim budget be in January? Lots of talk of Victor Gyökeres. Are we willing to spend the money, or will we fulfill the position? Ruben Amorim, I believe, has a gentleman's agreement not to sign any Sporting players until the summer. I think January is we just look at left back and we call it at that. Maybe another attacker or midfielder, depending on injuries as well. The difference is the PO is more ruthless and more quality than ever. Hard to get that time if results go the wrong way. And that's true. It's got to go the right way for Amorim because the Premier League is difficult. The Premier League is tough. And and people massively have to remember that. In terms of recruitment and other details coming out on that, it said that United are unlikely to be particularly active in the January transfer window unless an opportunity presents itself, players leave or injuries or other factors create a problem that needs to be addressed. I think if Alphonso Davies was available in the January window, we'd go for him if we felt that we could get him. I think we will go for people if we think they're good and we can get them, but we do normally save time for summer, but I think we will spend in January because of the left-back issues. Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox, Omar Barada will give Amorim time to assess the squad and see how players adapt to his approach and methods before they start making definitive plans for next summer window and the type of players and areas they might want to address to target. So they want to see how players do under Amorim before they come up with a proper plan for the January window, but I'm sure they're looking at it and thinking, well, Amorim wants players with intensity. Eriksen and Casemiro could leave, so they might look at someone like Baliba there. I think they'll think we need a centre-back because Maguire, Lindelof and Evans could leave. They might look at Diamonde. They might look at Branthwaite. I think they'll say we might need to reinforce the attack. We're lacking goals. They may look at a Kudus or an Eze that we've been linked to. And I'm sure that they are looking at a lot of bring-backs, not just Coenda, but potentially Aït-Nouri or Kirkes or someone, I'm sure, is what they're doing as well. Do you think we'll sign Alvaro Fernandez? Maybe in the summer. Maybe in January, 60 million buyback clause. I think it's one to keep an eye on, but it depends how much Amorim rates him because Ten Hag didn't rate him. That was the thing as well. I believe we shouldn't make any more investments until Amorim improves his style and is constant till summer. Eric Ten Hag just wasted 700 mil for most of us fans saying, yeah, I think Amorim needs money because I think some of these players can't play at the intensity to make Amorim ball work, but I think it's about smart signings. Smart signings is the way to go, get more squad turnover and developing potential. It's not about buying loads of players. It's about signing 3 or 4 smart players that are going to lift the athletic and technical ceilings of the squad and be able to play the way that Amorim wants. I think is what we've got to do. Someone did ask about Alvaro Fernandez. So this is what I said, because Alvaro Fernandez spoke out about the Man United rumours, and he said, I'm focused on what I have to do because I have a game every 3 days. It's always nice to have teams call you and everyone wants to grow. But I'm doing well here. United have signed a purchase option, but I'm happy here. He's not ruled out returning to United. He's just saying he's happy at Benfica. If he didn't want to go back to United, he'd be saying, I won't go back there, I won't go back there. He's sort of, getting his way around the question by basically saying, basically just saying, I'm happy here, but he's not ruling anything out. So maybe we could go for Alvaro Fernandez. It'll be interesting to see as well. In Manchester United history, just 2 non-British players have been directly involved in 20-plus Premier League goals before turning 21. That's Ronaldo and Garnacho. I think Garnacho's stick is over the top. Also, Garnacho's stick is definitely over the top as well. It's definitely over the top. Look, I like Garnacho. I think he had a few poor games and was deservedly dropped, but I think people were writing him off after a few bad games, even though he's 20 years of age. It was absolutely mad. So, yeah, I think the Garnacho hate went massively over the top. Someone said, Alice, have you seen someone make an all-time Premier League 11 with no Man United player despite us winning the most titles? Just agendas, just jealousy, people that do that as well. I was just looking at that, but yeah, this international break's felt longer than ever. I know we've still got 5 days until the next match. Still got 5 days. I hate the international break, people, but let's go back more into talking about youth and a few other things as well. Alvaro keeping it a bit ambiguous. He may not be so keen on return. We'll see. I think it depends. Amorim might not see him as cut out for the league as well. Alice, we need to get rid of injured players. I think Eriksen will go. I think Casemiro could go. Lindelof will go. Evans will go. Maguire could go in the summer. Maybe we'll look to offload Mason Mount, Anthony. I think Luke Shaw, because of injuries, could go. Malacia could go. I think everyone else will probably stay unless they're really, really poor as well. We have been linked to Oscar Gluaf, but not much in it yet. I think a lot of the players we're linked to, we have to take with a pinch of salt because Amorim hasn't had a chance to fully assess the United squad yet. So why are we being linked to this player and this player and said, when Amorim hasn't assessed the squad yet? So there's no plans that have been drawn up. Someone says Garnacho's getting way too much hate. Yeah, it's weird. I think Garnacho should have been benched because he was wasteful and had 2 or 3 bad games in a row, but that doesn't define him as a bad player. I think we should get behind Garnacho. I think it's exciting to have such a talented player, aged 20, at this club that can do so many good things. He scored a bicycle kick. He goes forward. He's direct. He makes things happen. I think, as a fan base, we need to stop, writing off our players and giving them stick. We can say Garnacho should be dropped. Let's try Rashford for this game. But, to write off Garnacho and give him the stick and hate that he got is crazy because he's been one of our better performers over the last year. I think he is potentially quite a good player there. The potential is clearly there with Garnacho, just time of patience. Exactly. Angel Gomez come back now. There is rumours of him coming back, but I don't think there's much reliability in that as well. Someone says Alice is always a good therapy. She has the ability to lift your spirit. She's unauthentic and unpretentious. I appreciate that. 194 likes, guys. Look, 6 likes away from 200 likes. So please do go ahead and hit that like button as well. Should he have got the number 7 shirt? I'm not that bothered about the number 7 shirt yet. It's still early days. He's still a young player. I wouldn't have given it to Mount, but I think the number 7 shirt. It doesn't really matter if he Garnacho had it or not, but I think that him not having it, I would like him to have it in the future if he hits his level. But yeah, I wouldn't have given the number 7 shirt to Mount, but I wouldn't have given it to Garnacho last season anyway. I think he wasn't ready to take it on last season. I think if he has a good season this year, he'd have been ready to take it on next season. We shouldn't start throwing it at people. We have been linked to Kola Muani for a low move, but again, not much credibility in that. I don't know if I really want Kola Muani anyway. He's sort of flopped. I think Amorim will get the best out of our current players. I don't want us signing flops for Amorim just because we can get them on loan and trying to get Amorim to work miracles as well. Amorim does not play a ticker ball cam, which could alter Gomez's plans. Yeah, Gomez would be in the pivot if he joined. He'd be in the Maino role if he joined under Amorim as well. We made a mistake letting Alvaro Fernandez leaving. Kobbie Maino has the highest ceiling. Ericsson leaving, Lindelof leaving, Maguire should leave. I think Ericsson, Lindelof will leave, and I assume Maguire will leave unless he impresses under Amorim and gets a 1-year extension in which he might see out. But because of his wages, I think United want Maguire gone. Mason Mount's not going anywhere. I think potentially if we can sell Mason Mount, we might, because it's not worked out after 2 seasons. But I think if he can stay fit, he can have a good and key role in the United squad, if I'm going to be honest as well. Ericsson gets so much hate being our best player this season. I think Ericsson has been one of our best players this season. I think he needs to go because long-term he doesn't suit the project and he's on high wages and the intensity. But I think Ericsson's been really good this season, but I'd still expect him to go in the summer. Alice, who do you like? I like Semenyo, I like Kudus, and I like Eze for the wing position, particularly because they can play narrow, they can play wide. I like Semenyo a lot this season. I think he, athletically, is a very, very good player. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with all the transfer news and rumours. I think we could see 2 signings in January. I think we'll see one at left back, potentially another. But I don't know what we're going to do. I'll post that. I think maybe 1 or 2 in January. I think summer's when we spend a bit more. But unless we sell, I don't think we're going to spend crazy amounts. I do think the youth will be quite heavily integrated into the squad. But listen, people, I'm going to wrap up today's live show here. Please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I want to big up to everybody that tuned into today's live show, got involved in the live chat. It's been a great show. I'm also 8 subscribers away from 97.4K. So if you're watching right now and you're not subscribed, it would again be greatly appreciated if you just subscribe down below. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.